You know, my favorite YouTube videos ever are the videos that tell you how to get girls or how to be an alpha. Like, those are hilarious. I'm actually surprised at how popular this genre is actually getting, but I guess that kind of reflects more on young guys growing up in the era of social media. Insecurity is up, and it just seems like a lot of guys are lost and confused on what it means to be a quote-unquote man, and I think this is messing up the headspace for a lot of guys. Listen, I don't know everything, I'm still young, but I would imagine if you wanted to get girls, you definitely don't start by watching YouTube videos teaching you how to be a quote-unquote man. Oh, but being a man's a social construct. Nah, but seriously, most people watching these videos are usually young guys or guys in their teens. If you're focused on getting girls, your priorities are probably in the wrong place. The worst thing you can do to quote-unquote get girls is to make getting girls your priority. Sounds ironic, but it's true, and I think a lot of guys are confused when it comes to this. The best way to quote-unquote get girls is to stop trying to get girls. Think about that for a second. Because when you stop trying to get girls, your focus goes back to yourself. If you're on the internet trying to find ways to get girls or tips and tricks or how to text a girl or any of that crap, you're the exact opposite of where you want to be. By the way, I'm just talking about getting girls in the sense of relationships or dating. If you want to just hook up, just go on Tinder. People got the lowest standards over there, and will literally have sex with anything if you have a sub-interesting bio and an edgy one-liner. But yeah, being a quote-unquote man or an alpha or getting girls really just goes back to focusing on yourself. Just find something you care about, a passion, build on skills beneficial towards that passion. And I think just based off furthering yourself, you'll naturally open yourself up to new people as you do new experiences. And then you can start doing things like working on your quote-unquote game and those intricate details. Confidence and the ability to be yourself just comes with furthering your life in that aspect. The best secret or trick in my opinion, although a boring one, is just to better yourself and further your goals. Stop focusing on getting girls and trying to find out how to be a man. That's the biggest problem with most of these guys. If you've ever heard of the push-pull effect, the push-pull effect is basically this unspoken dynamic in a relationship between two people, specifically when it comes to the chase aspect of dating, where when one person is pushing right, they're giving love and attention, and pulling is when you're being more distant and ignoring them. People want to act like this dynamic doesn't exist, but it does. And when you make getting girls your priorities, you're exhibiting push behavior, where you're giving someone all the love and attention, and the dangerous part of this is you start to reek of desperation. When one side starts pushing too hard, the opposite side begins to pull away, and whenever one side starts to pull away, the other side begins to push back. Human beings at their core want what they can't have. The reason why people love brands and luxury items is because there's exclusivity attached to them. It's a pretty simple and basic idea, but the reason why something seems more valuable is because it's more exclusive. If everybody had LV or YSL or whatever, it would be less attractive. Less people would buy it, and people would find a new thing that's more exclusive. I don't know, humans just work like that. It's the same thing with dating and relationships. When something becomes too accessible, it becomes less attractive. So going back to this mentality of desperately wanting to get girls, right? You, by nature, are exhibiting an aspect of being too accessible, and people pick up on that. So why is this, right? Why does this seem like so many guys are falling into this behavior? Well, first of all, not only are a lot of guys just kind of lost and confused, but a lot of guys are also lonely and down bad and can't talk to girls. I mean, you don't even need statistics. A direct reflection of this is the rise in things like OnlyFans. Consumers of this is almost always lonely guys who are down bad in life. And also what you gotta understand is that there's really no shortcut, there's no secret, there's no trick. Most things we overcomplicate. When you look for a secret or a trick, you're really just looking for a shortcut and a way to obtain a result without putting in the work, no matter what it is. And maybe it could work short term, but it will always die out in the long term. Let's take getting girls for example, right? Let's say you follow these tips and tricks of eye contact or cheesy clever one-liners and not responding right away or whatever the hell. Everything initially goes well, you get her number. Okay, so what? Where do you go from there? I mean, you can only put on a front for so long until who you are as a person has to shine through. So my point is, right, where this is coming from is a certain mentality you're starting to see more and more, which is why this genre seems to be rising in popularity. It has to do with short-term pleasures or gratification, where people kind of want a feeling but don't really want to put in the work. It's kind of like how a lot of people who want to be in shape fail, because they want the results but they don't want to put in the work to get those results. And a lot of this has to do with the digital era we live in. Biologically, guys feel the need to be the provider because back then guys used to have to be the hunters, because men are biologically built stronger, right? So this is why in today's society, guys kill themselves at 5 to 6 times higher rates than girls, because it's wired in the mind of guys that success is life and failure is death. That's not necessarily the case, but those feelings that elicit from that failure or success is quite literally life or death. Back then, if you fail at your hunt, that means death for you and whoever you provide for, simple as that. But things are different now. We live in modern civilization where we're overcome with stimulation everywhere. And that stimulation acts as a substitute in our minds for what we're supposed to be doing. In other words, that stimulation isn't real life. This is why there are 30-year-olds in their drawers eating Dorito dust off their fingers, on the computer, on social media with no goals or ambitions, just letting life pass by. It's this modern day stimuli that's giving this instant gratification. Most people, if not all, are really chasing a feeling, right? No matter what your goal is. Whether it's money, love, sex, materialism, validation, social status, acceptance. It's because you're chasing a feeling, plain and simple. Even the most charitable and selfless goals someone can have are based on wanting to feel a certain way. Like even if you work for a non-profit charity your entire life, right? It's also because that feeling makes you feel good. Human beings are driven by emotions and feelings. And my point in saying this is that those emotions and feelings are now easily obtainable without going out in the real world and actually doing it. Drugs, alcohol, sex, video games, social media, the internet, fake progressive ideologies, all these things that we're living in the age of, is making young guys specifically weaker than ever, which is why guys are killing themselves at rates never before. Because when you fall into the instant gratification all these things bring, absorbing all this stimuli, at some point you have to get out of those things and realize that you have to live in the real world. And that realization of like, oh shit, I actually haven't done anything, I've just been replacing these things with short-term pleasures from a bunch of stimuli, is what devastates guys across the world when they realize they've just been letting life pass by. Why go out and go through the process of meeting someone, getting to know them, dating them, when you can just hop on Tinder and find a bunch of people who are down to hook up? Why go out and master something in life or a skill when you can hop in the virtual world, aka video games, and conquer that instead? Better yet, why go climb Mount Everest when you can just do a bunch of drugs and obtain that exact same feeling that you would from reaching the mountaintop? And when you use these short-term pleasures as replacements, that's when the feeling of failure becomes the feeling of death. That's when you realize you failed at your hunt and now you as a provider have failed. That's not what's literally happening, but that's what we feel biologically. And that's why guys feel so much anxiety when they feel like they're falling behind in life. It's this hardwiring in our brains that's kicking in our fight or flight reaction as if we're actually being confronted with a life-threatening situation. That's not what's actually happening, but that's what the feeling of failure is eliciting. It's a biological response. And then that's when that realization of, oh, I'm not doing what I want or where I need to be, either creates change or destroys them. That feeling is the same sense of urgency that men felt after realizing they need to succeed in their hunt to provide for their family. And also there's been this growing community called the Red Pill that centers around being an alpha male and the nature of girls. Now the thing I'm trying to figure out is how did this concept of the Red Pill from the Matrix turn into ideologies about masculinity and women? Now if you don't know, the concept of the red and blue pill in the Matrix refers to either living in blissful ignorance, being the blue pill, forever being enslaved by a system and living in delusions, as opposed to the red pill, which represents accepting unsettling truths about the world and seeing through that system in which we exist. How did something like that turn into being an alpha male and the nature of women? I've read a few articles and watched a few videos, and I don't know, man, to me it just goes back to my original point of a bunch of guys just being in the wrong headspace. Like, it's a lot of generalizations from what I could gather, but regardless of whether it has valid points on what a man is or the nature of women, stop worrying about what you have to do to be a man or obsessing over the psyche of women to get girls. I just think the whole thing is pointless. Stop trying to overcomplicate these things and these useless endeavors. Just be you, focus on yourself, find a passion, a purpose, a reason to get up, find your light in life and never let it go out. Most of the answers you're probably looking for will be found as you progress in life. It's like the further you go in that direction, the more things in life start to align and fall in place. Whether it's finding that special someone or being a man, whatever it is for you. So yeah, just stop worrying about these things and just do you. Anyways, if you guys liked the video, leave a like, comment, or sub. And with that said, make sure you guys stay true. Talk to you guys real soon. Peace.